Hello, fellow Rotarians, and welcome to this week's celebration of service. It's May 31st, 2022. Yesterday, of course, across the country, we celebrated Memorial Day, the unofficial start to summer, but officially our federal holiday for mourning United States military personnel who have died while serving in United States Armed Forces. Now, the difference between yesterday's holiday and Veterans Day, as you may know, is that Veterans Day recognizes the service of all of America's veterans, whereas on Memorial Day, yesterday, we specifically honor those veterans who have died in service. Originally known as Decoration Day, Memorial Day originated in various places around the country in the years following the U.S. Civil War, but did not become an official federal holiday until 1971, just over 50 years ago. And so we mourn and honor American military personnel who died in the Civil War and all those 20th and 21st century wars, including World Wars I and II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan. And so will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one.
Thank you. You may be seated. And Owen, welcome to the podium for the reflection.
Thank you, Sally. I've been thinking a lot lately about whether one can apply the four-way test to Ukraine. Is it the truth? Doesn't work very well because Russia and Ukraine have quite different conceptions of the truth. Is it fair to all concerned? War never is. Perhaps a quarter of Ukraine's population has been displaced. Tens of thousands, the majority civilian non-combatants, have died. Will it build goodwill in better friendships? Not in war. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Definitely not. Even if the war ended today, difficult questions would remain. Henry Kissinger, who made his name in academia with his studies of 19th century diplomacy, suggests Ukraine should be willing to give up some territory in the interest of peace. But can the people of Ukraine trust Russia that it won't attack again later, especially when Putin and most Russians believe in their souls that Ukraine is part of Russia and Ukrainians are simply little Russians? And don't think that if Putin were to be forced out of office, that things would be better. When I was in Moscow 5 or 6 years ago, a newspaper editor told me that Putin was staying in power by playing off against each other various groups of mafia and oligarchs by using the successor of the KGB. Who is going to pay for the rebuilding of Ukraine, likely to cost more than $500 billion? The Marshall Plan helped rebuild Europe after World War II, but Europeans had experience running modern economies. That's not true in Ukraine, where the oligarchs remain strong. And would Americans, us, be willing to be taxed to provide that kind of money? One often hears that Ukrainians are fighting for democracy. But Ukraine, like the United States early in our history, is far from a functioning democracy. Little noted, for instance, is that Ukraine has brought all media under state control for the duration of the war and perhaps beyond. And who is to make the decisions about ending the war? Russia on one side, for sure. Vladimir Putin says that Ukraine is an American puppet. So does the US and its European allies make the decisions? Without their support, Ukraine cannot go forward, but Ukrainians would not be happy if decisions were made for them. When I was in Europe earlier this month, Ukraine was never far away. A Red Cross center to help Ukrainian immigrants was set up in the train station just down the block from my hotel in Paris. Ukrainian flags are flying everywhere. Ukraine has frightened Europeans in a way that Syria did not. Even the fighting in the former Yugoslavia in the 1990s did not have such impact. The pictures and stories from Ukraine have reawakened in Europeans the stories their grandparents and great-grandparents told them about World War II. Make no mistake about it, the Russian invasion of Ukraine is the most important event in Europe since at least 1989. Then Francis Fukuyama, who will be visiting IU next spring, famously opined that the end of history was at hand, that democracy and liberalism had triumphed. At the very least, many of us were optimistic then that the world was going to be a better place. It has not turned out that way. Difficult decisions lie ahead. I wish this reflection could be more positive. It's not, but I hope it will help keep us focused on the issues raised by the Russian invasion. They're not going to go away.
Thank you, Owen. And Hank Walter is going to introduce our guest.
I'd like to introduce Aaron Dobrin as our guest today. Welcome, Aaron. And Sally graciously allowed me 30 seconds to make a plug. You may not know that the IU bookstore is under new management and just reopened today. There will be a lot more of things to come. A lot more changes to come and new merchandise and all of that. But if you get a chance to walk through, especially on the first and second floor, it looks very different. They're taking advantage of some of the iconic architecture. In fact, the second floor you haven't been able to see in a number of years. I've only been here 7, but there's a beautiful limestone fireplace with a Lincoln quote inscribed in it. That was kind of in hiding. So if you get a chance to check out the architecture or check out the new store, if not today, then next week or the week after, I'd recommend it.
Thanks, Hank. And just to be sure, Joy, do we have any guests on Zoom? Don't think we do.
Hi, Sally. No, we do not. We're Rotarians.
Okay, wonderful. I want to thank Joy for being our Zoom host today, and our producers here in the Frangipani are Alan Barker and Michael Shermis. Roundabout reporter for the 5th and final week. Congratulations, Bob. Is Bob Zaltzberg. Thank you, Owen, for the reflection, and for Len Tiemann being our greeter, and Hank for introducing our guests. This week we have only one Rotarian birthday, but it's a significant one, and it's Mr. Jim Bright. Happy birthday, June the 5th. And then every year at the beginning of June, we have this amazing week of anniversaries. And I remember it because I'm one of those who are celebrating a Rotary anniversary this year, but there are 10 of us, and I'm going to read them because there are 3.5 centuries of Rotary service represented by these 10 people. Okay. And that, by the way, is 10% of our club. Okay. Starting with, and this one I love, Bob Zaltzberg and Judy Schroeder were apparently inducted on the same day, June the 1st, 1988, 34 years ago. Marshall Goss, 35 years in our club. Fred Dunn, 49 years. Ken Sparks, who's an honorary member of our club, for the last 4 years, has 58 years in Rotary. Winston Schindel, past president, 40 years. Whew. Michael Hoff, 29. Tim Thrasher, 41. 5 for Ann Connors. And this is my 19th year in this club. I had 4 years in the Rochester, New York Rotary Club in the 1990s. And so this is my 23rd year as a Rotarian. Okay, that's it. 348 years of Rotary service. And will the birthday boy, Jim Bright, please come forward to make a non-birthday announcement?
No. Thank you so much, President Sally. And I just wanted to make sure that you all are aware of a very special occasion that's coming up 2 weeks from Saturday. No, it's not my birthday. But it's Saturday, June 18th at 11:30 a.m. Just one flight up in the University Club's President's Room. And what's the special occasion? We are going to be installing fellow Bloomington Rotarian Lance Eberly as our 2022-2023 district governor. So now Lance will be the 14th governor from a Bloomington club in the past 100 years. So this is going to be a special occasion. He will succeed Kirk Bushy of Vincennes, and Kirk will be on hand to hand off the home club of the district governor banner. So you'll want to be there. As our district governor, Lance will provide oversight to the 34 Rotary clubs, the 20 Interact clubs, and the 3 Rotaract clubs in the district. Since joining our club in 2002, that's 20 years ago, Lance has been a wonderful Rotarian, serving as our club president in 2013-14, our treasurer for 6 years, and as a member of the club's board of directors. At the district level, Lance has served as assistant governor and most recently district membership co-chair. He is a graduate of RLI, the Rotary Leadership Institute. Now, later this week, Lance and his wife, Stephanie, joined by Alan Barker, will be off to Houston for the Rotary International Convention. This is the second convention that Lance will have been to. He attended the 2013 convention in Lisbon, Portugal. So registration for the June 18th luncheon is just $25 per person, and the deadline to sign up is a week from Friday, June the 10th. And I have sent you by email information on how to register. Also, you can see Natalie at the end, and just tell her that you want to go, $25 a person, and she will charge your quarterly statement. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on June 18th.
So before we get to our program, I want to focus a little bit on, a very brief little bit, on what a roaring success our Palo Alto Rotarians visit was. And Alan Barker already put together a photo deck that we showed here prior to our meeting in the Frangipani. Our distinguished Palo Alto visitors met with over a dozen community leaders and had terrific discussions about both Bloomington and about how Rotary connects people domestically and worldwide. I'm not going to list here everybody who participated in the events, but I would ask Bob Salzberg to share their names in the roundabout this week. In addition to the meetings, we toured 3 spaces on Friday: the Mill, Teachers Warehouse, thank you Ron Barnes and Sarah Laughlin, and the Crestmont Boys and Girls Club, where we showed off our club centennial gift. Thank you, Ashley Wesley, for that. On Saturday, we had a really fun picnic, and on Sunday, Alan hosted a final breakfast meeting. Overall results, we had an amazing exchange of information. We came up with new ideas about how to strengthen our clubs and our communities, thoughts about how we might work together in the future with the sibling city partnership. And our Bloomington Rotarians will be visiting Palo Alto as the exchange in mid-November. So please let Alan or me know if you're interested in joining us. There are already a handful, I believe, who are going to be trying to make the trip. I'm really looking forward to it. And finally, Huge thanks to Gabe Coleman, who's the president-elect of Bloomington North, for being my co-host, as was Alan Barker, the other co-host. Service above self, out the wazoo, and of course to Natalie Blaze. Thank you all. Okay. Now, we are going to start our program, and it's actually the annual meeting of the Bloomington Rotary Club as called for in our bylaws. So, and it's my third and final club assembly. As president, I've tried to focus on 3 pillars of service for this year. First, a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so our first club assembly focused on the club's new vision for DEI. Second, I wanted to focus on building membership to sustain our club. And so our second club assembly was all about brainstorming on how each of us can invite potential Rotarians to join us for meetings here and ultimately, ideally, recruit new people to our club. And then lastly, I wanted to try, particularly coming out of the very long pandemic, I wanted to try to help focus each member on how to have opportunities for service above self by engaging yourself in the work of our club. So the purpose of today, our final assembly of the year, is to focus on what makes our club work. And I hope to inspire each of you to join in that work in a new and purposeful way. So to start with that, we actually have a bit of business, which is to elect officers and new board members for the coming year as part of the annual meeting. So I'm asking immediate past president Ashley Wesley, who headed up the nominating team, to come forth, as she is doing, to present the slate and run the elections.
Thank you, everyone, for allowing me the opportunity to recruit, as the chair of the nominating committee, our upcoming slate of officers to serve this wonderful club. So I will announce who is on the slate, and then we will have an official vote from all of you. Our incoming president will be Alan Barker. Our president-elect, Ron Barnes. Our immediate past president, which needs no voting, Sally Gaskell. Our incoming treasurer will be Aaron Brewington. Our secretary and membership chair, Dave Meyer. Our member at large, Amy Osajima, serving once again. And directors, Bryce Bowe will be serving year 2 of his 2-year term. Kyla Cox-Deckard will join us as a board member as a director. Jim Shea will join us as a new term for 2 years. And Jim Sims will be renewing his term for another 2 years service. Our program committee co-chairs are Michael Shermis and Connie Shikalis. And ex officio members are Jim Bright, Lauren Snyder, Aaron Davis, myself, and any other past district governors or past presidents that wish to join the board. The only ones that need to be voted on today are our president-elect, treasurer, director roles of Kyla, Jim, and Jim, and those continuing are there at the bottom. So I'm calling for a vote on this slate of officers. Judy, thank you. Michael, second. I'm sorry, can you repeat? We need a quorum of membership. We have counting the numbers on Zoom.
I'll count the attendees after the meeting from in-person and Zoom. And if we don't have a quorum, I think we do, we will send out an online voting.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor to approve the slate of officers, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, thank you so much.
Good job, Ashley, and congrats to all. Oh, thank you, Dave. So next, Kyla Cox-Deckert is going to talk about finances. Now, I know that's why you all showed up today, because it's so fun to talk about money, but we don't do this ordinarily. And I thought it would create some insights into how we spend your dues and what we do with money in general.
Thank you, President Sally. So I am your outgoing treasurer. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the dues as they are structured currently. And I don't know if we've got the slide. Okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't supposed to be doing anything technical here. All right. So I serve as the treasurer for the club. I also have served as the treasurer for the Bloomington Rotary Foundation. And I'm going to talk just a little bit about that, but mostly we're going to focus today on the club and the budget related to the club. So when you all pay your dues, you're paying actually 3 different forms of dues. You're paying to Rotary International, which charges our club dues for each member. You're paying to the district, which charges our club for each member. And then you're paying club dues, which pays for much of the activities that we do here as the club that I'm going to talk about a little bit more today. You also may be making a contribution to Rotary International, which is, we think of it as the Paul Harris contribution, and that adds up to $100 per year. And that's going directly to Rotary International. Some of you may remember we changed our budget structure in 2020. And when we did that, that changed the way that we bill for meals. So you are now only billed for meals that you actually consume. You're not billed for meals if you're joining us on Zoom or if you're missing that day of Rotary. You're only billed for the meals that you consume. So that's just a pass-through fee that we pay directly back to the union for their service. Oh, thank you. So what do our club dues cover? Because that's the majority of the dues that you pay are our club dues. We actually get so much help from our wonderful club assistant, Natalie Blaze, who you all know and love. She works somewhere between 75 to 80 hours a month. So clearly that is far exceeding what we would expect a volunteer to do. And so she's compensated for her time working with us. And I know that many of you probably realize that she does a lot of work for us, but all of the billing, all of the special arrangements that we make for special events and just our weekly meetings, helping make sure that we pay all of our bills properly and handling our bookkeeping. So she's got quite a demanding job. So much of our dues cover the costs of just administering the club. Technology, we saw a spike in technology expenses since the pandemic. So when we came back to do hybrid, we invested in some equipment that would allow us to have our members be part of our club virtually as well as in person. We also, of course, pay for a Zoom subscription, which is necessary for all of that. We pay for venue fees to the IMU, and they are wonderful partners to us and actually give us a very good deal on both our meals and our venue fees, but we do pay venue fees to the union. We cover meals for speakers who join us, and also the charitable contribution that we give each week to a speaker is covered under our club budget. We offer some support to Rotaract, Interact, RILA, and our speech awards. So that gives us an opportunity to connect with youth in our community and to help support them in their activities as it relates to Rotary. And then we have what I would call the boring expenses. We pay for insurance that covers us for anything that we may need insurance for. We have a website that we pay monthly, accounting software, leadership training. So we support our incoming presidents by helping them to attend the Rotary conventions and engaging in other training opportunities. We have some special member events that we cover with fellowship dollars. So when we have to rent a shelter at a park to have a picnic or do other activities like that, we have a small budget for those kinds of activities. And then we have to file a 990 every year. And so we do get support on tax preparation for that. And so your dues help to cover our compliance with the IRS. And then just to note, the Bloomington Rotary Foundation serves a really important role with the club. They are essentially the local charitable arm for the club. And so when you are contributing to our scholarship campaigns, when you attend the Toast, when you are supporting the 80/20 campaign, those are all helping us to do those charitable activities locally that we have been able to do in the past that are so important to our club and to our community. Our club does from time to time do special international projects. That actually comes directly out of the Bloomington Rotary Club's funding, and usually we have special fundraising around those types of activities as well. We do see occasional small increases in the dues that come from the Rotary International and District, and we're anticipating a small increase in that in this upcoming year. So I'll be working with our incoming treasurer, Erin Brewington, and the rest of the board to make sure that we are covering all of those expenses as well. I think that's the update. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Kyla, thank you so much for the presentation. And I'll thank you later on in the year for your amazing work as our treasurer over the last while. Now we're going to focus on Rotary's signature project, Teachers Warehouse, and its president, Ron Barnes, is going to take the podium.
Thank you, President Sally. I asked for a few minutes because, as most of you know, a lot of the leadership of the Teachers Warehouse comes from this group. It was started by Judy Witt back many years ago, and it's through her leadership, it has actually flourished. And I want to share a little bit, but there are other people. Ron Jensen, who recently passed away, was a significant leader and a president of the board of Teacher Warehouse. We always called him Ron 1, and I was Ron 2. And it was very fitting that he would be Ron 1. But Sarah Laughlin, another board member and tireless worker for the Teachers Warehouse, Marilyn Wood, Marcus Debro, Kate Cruikshank, all members of this esteemed group that serve on this board. It's really a functioning organization. If I can learn to use the remote right, we'll get it working here. If not, if you could move on. The key is that we help teachers. And if you think about teachers in our community or in the 5 counties that we serve, they're probably spending about $1,000 to $2,000 of their own money to provide classroom supplies for their students. Well, we can help with that. And if you look at the expression on the teachers' faces as they check out, it's a smile that is just, it warms your heart. You want to move on to the next one, please. Again, how does it exist? Because of Rotary and because of Judy and her vision for our club and the 3 other clubs in this town that give significant focus to this. And thanks to MCCSC, the local school corporation, they help us with a building that we pay, yes, $5,000 a year, but that includes utilities, it includes the cleaning. They do a wonderful job to help us. If we move on to the next slide, please. And you can see where we are, and I encourage you as Rotarians to come and visit. Next slide, please. We serve 5 counties. Most recently, we picked up Martinsville, and the Martinsville Rotary Club is being a significant benefactor now to our club. We serve 82 schools. And if you think about this year, we checked the numbers of teachers that were in our facility this year. Last week, it was 1,275. Our last day of operation will be June 2nd. I'll bet we'll be at 1,300 teachers. And that's significant. And that's a lot of help, particularly to young people in our community that don't have the wherewithal to provide their own supplies. Next slide, please. And you can just kind of see some of the items. I'm not going to read through this, but you can see what's available. And a lot of this, again, is very expensive material, and we have to limit it, but it goes out the door real quickly. Next slide, please. And you can see areas where we have no limits. And again, they can carry armloads of this out to help. Next slide, please. and everything is free. We don't expect teachers to pay. And again, we think about where do we get the resources to make this work? Well, first of all, we have a supply drive, which will be on July 30th, where you as colleague Rotarians and I will be handing out wish lists of what we need at Kroger's, at Office Depot, at Staples. And as parents are in buying school supplies, they'll buy things for us and then throw them in a bin. That helps us. We also have a fundraising that takes place at the end of the year, which helps us because we will spend about $30,000 in our actual dollars that we spend to buy supplies. And all the rest, of course, is donated. And again, if you can move on, please. Again, you get an idea of what's in the project room, the classroom. These are all valuable kinds of things to help the educational process. So again, I appreciate your volunteerism because this place does not run without volunteers. If you think about it, we have some volunteers that are working more than 30 hours a week to make this work. If you don't believe me, stop by sometime and you'll see Sue and Doug Cole, who are there almost every day. And she's our volunteer coordinator and just does an outstanding job, retired teacher from Owen Valley. But again, thank you for your participation. I encourage you to volunteer on July 30th at our, again, our supply drive. We need your help, and it's through your leadership and continuing that we will survive and help the teachers of our 5 counties. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Okay. Teachers Warehouse, of course, part of our local community service, but we do a lot more. And Sarah Laughlin graciously agreed to chair community service for this year's Bloomington Rotary. And I'm so grateful to her. And she is making her way forward to talk about community service and how each of you can be involved.
You know, it's obviously my passion, but I think it's the passion of this club as well. And we can tell that by looking at a few numbers from this year. So I just wanted to give you just a quick update on what we've been doing in the community service sector for this year. First of all, though, I want to say thank you to the committee. I think this year we've had the most members we've ever had on the community service committee. And every one of them has taken charge of one event. We couldn't have done it without them. And I think maybe it's our passion coming back from the pandemic. We're so anxious to actually get going and do something. But I hope that that will continue and we'll have the same number of people or even more next year. We arguably should have every single member of the club as a member of the community service committee. And I want to thank the volunteers the people who volunteered this year. So we have had so far several different events. We had the Teachers Warehouse Supply Drive last August. We had ongoing Teachers Warehouse volunteers. I don't have the complete numbers from them yet, but I'll tell you what I have in a minute. We had the Pete Ellis Drive trash pickup and ice cream at Jiffy Treat. Is it fun? Of course it is. The Salvation Army bell ringing, the Hoosier Hills Food Bank packing food, the Lotus Blossoms Festival for 4th grade kids, the Empowering Girls period positivity pouch packing at the district conference. We have the refugee resettlement planning underway. I gave us a little bit of credit for that because we've spent a lot of time getting ready for that. And we have the Taste of Bloomington coming up on June 18th. And I think there are still a couple of slots open for that night. So watch for the link in the roundabout. And if you haven't volunteered yet, here's your chance to get on the list for this year. Because here's the bottom line. From our club this year, 53 Rotarians have volunteered. I think that's just over half of our active members. So how about a round of applause for that? And they have brought along 11 other people with them, spouses and children and Rotaract members. So our efforts are leveraged by those other people joining us. And so we had a total of 64 people so far sign up to volunteer for one thing or another. And collectively, each one of those people contributed 30 hours. So our grand total of hours contributed this year is 1,589. And that includes an estimate for the Taste of Bloomington, but I think and an estimate for Teachers Warehouse. I think we'll probably be a little higher than that when we finally get to the end of the year. So yes, I'm keeping track. And so our challenge, I think, for next year is more volunteers, more people in the club. If 50% of us are volunteering, it means 50% of us are not. So let's get going next year. And I want to have more hours contributed. We can do it. I know we can do it if everyone's involved. And our goal, is always more significant positive impact. And along that line, I think our refugee resettlement project is probably our second most impactful opportunity in the history of this club, right behind Teachers Warehouse. So let's see what we can do with that. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Sarah or any of the other speakers? If not, Alan Barker is going to talk about committee opportunities for the coming year. My term's not over, but I thought this would be a good opportunity.
Thank you, President Sally. That's great. Yeah, hi, everybody. Looking forward to, and I need to adjust there we go. How about, does that look good? Okay, that works. So yeah, it's a bit like going, adjusting your rear view mirror every time you stand up here. So very excited about this coming year. The theme, as you probably know already, and we're going to be talking more about it, is Imagine, which gives us a huge opportunity as we come out of the pandemic to think about what our club can continue to become as we imagine all of the different areas of our activity, which are driven, as Sarah has so wonderfully mentioned, by you and by everything that you do in our club for the different committees. Truly, the committees are the lifeblood of what drives this incredible organization and what inspires us to do more and more. So a few things that I wanted to just mention. About an hour or so ago, I sent you an email. I urge you all to look at that email and click on the links. There's some really good information in it. There's a guide to what all the committees are. And then there's also a listing of the current members of the committees in case you personally don't know which committee you're on. So that would be a nice reminder of which committee you're currently on. And then there is a link, and this applies to everybody online as well, because you've received the same email. There's a link in that email to a form that you can fill out and tell us which committees you would like to be on as we go into the next year. I would love for those of you who are seasoned members of committees to stay on those committees and to reinvigorate them with ideas. For the newcomers, the selection is whichever way you want to go. I've already had some fantastic conversations with chairs of committees. We've got, I think, let me just quickly go through the list here. We've already confirmed the classification committee members, the chairs, communications, community service. Sarah, thank you again. Let's see, international. Lauren's going to be leading up our international this coming year. Membership, thank you to Dave for incredible work on the membership committee. He's going to be staying on and is looking for a companion, I believe, right? Peace building, we're going to be working on that with Aaron Davis, that is. Program committee, Connie Shakalis and Michael Shermis will be co-chairing that. And let's give a round of applause to the program committee. It's just such an amazing committee for everything that they do. And then we have Roundabout, also a champion of the Roundabout is our wonderful Judy Schroeder. And then Scholarship Committee, Amy Osajima, who joined the Scholarship Committee and is doing such a great job. And so as you can see in the materials that I've shared with you, there are a few openings for chairs. There actually are a few people that I'm in discussion with right now. In fact, I should mention that the Youth Services, Joy Harder will be leading up that committee this coming year, but there are others. If you're interested or sort of a TBA, I've got a few people in line who I think will be really great chairs of those committees. So yes, once again, just want to urge you to look at this document. This document actually comes out of the wisdom of previous presidents of the Rotary Club. I did a little of tweaking here and there, but really it's resting on the great shoulders of others who have put together a description of what these committees can do. So go ahead and have a look at this at your leisure, and then let us know sometime soon about which committees you would like to be on. I'd love to be able to start the year with a really clear sense of where we're going in terms of the structure of the organization. And then in July, we'd love for all of the committees to get together on Zoom, just to have a brief check-in to scope out the year, to set some markers in, and then we just have a lot of fun. I know that this is an organization that is run by you, and we're here in our roles to really facilitate and support everything that you guys do. So looking forward to that. And if you have any questions, I don't know if anybody has any questions right now. We have a few minutes if anybody has any thoughts or questions, but I think we're pretty good to go, right? Fantastic. Everybody online? I don't know if anybody there had any thoughts or questions, but we're looking forward to seeing you all very soon. Thank you.
What a team. Okay. That ends our program for today. I guess technically that ends our annual meeting, which I've been pretty informal about convening and now adjourning. So the new officers and board members whom you've voted in begin July 1st. The changeover from myself to Alan is July the 5th. So I've got another month. It'll go fast. The year has gone fast. We are on Zoom only for the next 2 weeks. Now, the reason for that is because the IMU is full. I don't know what's up. For those of you on Zoom, Hank Walter just went, woo. So we've also found that some of the venues that used to host us when we couldn't meet it here at the IMU are no longer doing that because of obviously the pandemic. So we really don't have much of a choice other than to just do totally Zoom meetings. Now, I will be calling it in next week from Charleston, South Carolina, where I will be on vacation. So let's hope I have good Wi-Fi. And I look forward to seeing all of you. Our speaker next week is Hillary Fleck, who is the Monroe County History Center collections manager. And she's going to be talking about the Herald Times archive collection. I think that will be really interesting. Let us now end our meeting with the four-way test and a new look of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second,
is it fair to all concerned?
will it
Goodwill.
And friendships.
beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
It's fun.
Is it fun?
Hello, have a great day.
Have a great day, everyone.